It sounds like you're describing what could be like the worst human health crisis in history.
I never saw pancreatic cancer in children. It scares the pants off me because I don't think it's virus versus man now, right? This is existential. The problem with cancer is it's being treated by oncologists and not immunologists.
The problem I have with Dr. Patrick is we're talking about reactive measures to something that we are. In today's video, I'm going to react as a carnivore to Dr. Patrick Soon and Tucker Carlson, a new video that came out called "You're Being Lied to About Cancer." I am, of course, not a doctor. I'm not an expert. I barely graduated high school. Why the heck should you listen to me? You don't have to listen to me, but frankly, if we listen to the doctors and the experts and the billions and billions of dollars being spent on cancer and cancer research, I would ask myself this question: why are 1,600 plus people dying per day from cancer? Why are we seeing people in their 30s and 40s and kids and children getting cancer at unprecedented rates? If we're only going to rely on the so-called experts and doctors and geniuses, why are they so messed up, and why are the rates of cancer going through the roof right now, despite billions and billions of dollars spent on it and the best technology we've ever had in the face of human history we have right now, and people are still getting sicker? I have interviewed dozens of different doctors and experts, including Professor Thomas Seyfried of Boston College, who's been talking about this for 30 years now, cancer as a metabolic disease. And one of the things I hear over and over again is chronic inflammation is the breeding ground for cancer.
You spent your life, 50 years working on treatments for cancer. And when you started, it seemed like we were moving in the West toward the elimination of cancer. Smoking was a huge emphasis. Get rid of tobacco, and cancer rates will drop. Obviously, smoking does cause cancer, and we got rid of it basically, but cancer rates went up. And that is a very rarely remarked upon mystery that really bothers me. Tell us, since you made billions of dollars selling your companies, but you're still involved in medical research, which I admire. Where are we now with cancer?
Well, what really worrisome to me now is not just the rate, but the population in which it's increasing, i.e. the younger people. So we're clearly seeing an increase in certain types of cancer, like pancreatic cancer, ovarian cancer, and we're seeing it colon cancer, and we're seeing it in younger people. But I never saw pancreatic cancer in children. And the greatest surprise to me was a 13-year-old with metastatic pancreatic cancer.
So a 13-year-old with pancreatic cancer. We're also seeing 13-year-olds now with type 2 diabetes and fatty liver disease, which has never been seen before. There's a common thread or common theme going on here. It's not just cancer, it is all health issues. The root of many of these issues is inflammation. Inflammation for fatty liver, inflammation for type 2 diabetes. Heart disease is the number one killer. The root cause of heart disease is inflammation. Almost all disease, the root cause is inflammation, including cancer, which he's going to talk about here a little bit as well.
What could possibly be causing this?
You have the yin and the yang of the killer cells, and these things called natural killer cells and T cells,
whose job is to kill anything that threatens the body.
These cells are there to recognize these infected cells and kill it. As you and I are sitting here today, our stem cells are growing in order to replenish parts of your body. But mathematically, there are some cells that are transformed, and your body recognizes that through these natural killer cells and kills it. I call that nature's first responder. And that's your mechanism. That's how we are all protected, and we are in this state of equilibrium or balance. How do we increase the killers, and how do we decrease the suppressors? So that's been 50 years of my challenge. So we're truly playing a good game of chess.
Playing a game of chess for 50 years, trying to figure out how to upregulate this, downregulate this, change this, affect this. He said the word nature there earlier, and that's one of my biggest issues with all of this cancer talk, anti-cancer medication curing cancer. He's trying to outsmart Mother Nature with a medical intervention or medication, and he's been trying to do that for 50 years. And I can't really think of one instance in the history of mankind where we've been able to outsmart Mother Nature for our benefit without some sort of long-term consequence.
Think like a astrophysics, where you're looking for God's particle, where all these molecules are floating around talking to each other, all the cells are floating around talking to each other, and this dynamic interaction. And how do you understand all of that? The problem with cancer is it's being treated by oncologists and not immunologists. And immunologists don't see patients because they look at basic immunology. And then when you have infection, and you have virology. So this cross disciplines of virology, immunology, oncology, all these ologies don't talk to each other.
Yes.
So
you're saying, just big picture, that cancer is to some extent a problem with your immune system.
it is everything about your immune system.
And that's the fundamental balance of the human body.
Correct. So what people don't realize is that...
Quick interruption. Today's video is sponsored proudly by ButcherBox. They recently launched a new initiative where you can support your local USA American farmers. Support American farmers with this new US pasture-raised beef from ButcherBox. This is USDA choice meat. Look at this ribeye. It's absolutely fantastic. The cows are never in feedlots. They're pasture-raised. There's no antibiotics, no hormones. You're supporting a local American farmer. I get so many people asking me, how can I do that? Now you can do it with ButcherBox. There's more details, including a really special offer if you use the link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. Now back to today's video.
we have the yin-yang in our body, that every cell has a counter cell.
So he mentions inflammation. Inflammation is something every single person on this planet should be concerned with. Most are not. Most are concerned with cholesterol. It's going to cause heart disease. And meanwhile, everyone's walking around inflamed. And as Dr. Soon said here, inflammation is one of the biggest reasons for throwing the body out of whack, for messing with the immune system. Inflammation isn't just about cancer. It's about heart disease, autoimmunity, arthritis, metabolic collapse, processed foods, chronic stress, sleep deprivation, environmental toxins, microplastics, all of this stuff. The point of all of this is we're not victims of some random disease, cancer. In many cases, in almost all cases, we're creating this cancer with how we live. People need to understand the root cause. This isn't just some fluke. This isn't just me. I just got cancer for no reason. So many people that are getting cancer, it's just from inflammation. And then you have chronic inflammation. You have chronic systemic inflammation for years and years, mainly from the foods we're eating that we were never intended to eat, but also what we're putting on our skin, what we're putting on our body, what we're breathing into our lungs. These are things that are causing chronic systemic inflammation, and you do it long enough, you get cancer or heart disease or all of these other health issues, so many of them that are a root cause, inflammation, which if you take that one step back, the root cause of that is our departure from what is natural as humans. It's not natural to eat these chemical concoctions and to put them in our body and on our body. It's completely unnatural, and it's very simple. Dr. Soon is brilliant, and he's using a lot of big words, but it's very, very simple. You escape from what is natural for humans, you get cancer, and you get sick.
Coincidence that post-COVID infection, post-COVID vaccine, we're seeing all these events where we know the spike protein goes there? I don't think so. I think it's not a coincidence.
It sounds like you're describing what could be like the worst human health crisis in history.
It scares the pants off me, because I think what we may be, I don't think it's virus versus man now, right? This is existential.
So in this section of the video, Dr. Soon talks about COVID vaccines, COVID virus and COVID vaccines, and the drastic increased incidence of cancer. And the thought behind it is their immune systems are compromised by either of those two things, and they get cancer at alarmingly higher rates. And if you go back to 2020 and you look at most of the people that got sick, there was one thing in common. A lot of their immune systems were compromised. Why? Because their bodies were inflamed. Why were they inflamed? Because they have poor metabolic health from eating unnatural foods and doing unnatural things that humans weren't intended to do. Most of the people that got sick were the elderly or ones that were compromised. And I can guarantee you, if you looked at every one of their immune systems, they were highly compromised.
And I was saying to Peter, listen, Peter, I need to show you that we need to create a T-cell vaccine. And he said, well, we don't do T-cell vaccines. Everybody's doing the other vaccine.
So I encourage people to watch this video. It's fascinating. Dr. Soon is trying to come up with a T-cell vaccine. He's trying to, I guess, in some way, outsmart Mother Nature. And this is what I wanted to get into the video. And this is my big disagreement with all of this. I think it's a tragedy what we're doing with cancer research, all the money spent on cancer, and this lingering thought that we're ever going to cure cancer. It will never be cured. Imagine a society where everyone rubs poison ivy on themselves every single day. They rub it on their face, they rub it on their eyes, they eat it. We put it in our beds, we sleep, and we roll around in this poison ivy. And then when the rash appears, we scream, we need some poison ivy medicine so that we don't get this rash. That's exactly how we treat cancer. We load up on seed oils, sugar, additives, food dyes, stress, chemicals on our body, in the food we're eating. And then we beg big medicine to bail us out. We try to outsmart Mother Nature, where in the history of mankind, we've never been able to outsmart Mother Nature. Trying to medicate cancer without changing lifestyle is like taking sugar and putting it in your gas tank every single day, and then begging engineers to invent an engine that runs on sugar and fuel sludge. That's not innovation, that is denial. The real solution, drive your car how it was intended, how it was designed. Full tires, clean oil, the right fuel. You don't need a better engine. You need to stop wrecking the engine that you already have. Dr. Soon is obviously brilliant, but sometimes the curse of genius is tunnel vision. You get so good with the microscope that you forget to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. The problem I have with Dr. Patrick is we're talking about reactive measures to something that we are proactively contributing to over and over again. We are causing this cancer by our escape from what is natural, by putting toxins into our body and doing it over and over again. And instead of saying, maybe we should stop doing that, instead of allowing people to perpetuate this issue of cancer and put in toxins and seed oils and food dyes, glyphosate, instead of stopping that, why would the solution be, let's allow that to continue, but maybe we can come up with a medication that will somehow counteract that? Just like the poison ivy analogy I gave earlier. In what world does it make sense to rub poison all over your face and put it in your mouth and eat it and all over your body and then expect some sort of medication? Why not just stop rubbing poison ivy all over your face? That is the solution. That is the reason there's never going to be a cure for cancer, because we keep treating cancer like it's some sort of genetic issue. It's some sort of weird fluke that you just got it and we don't know why. And therefore, the only solution is going to be medication. And therefore, we can continue spending billions and billions of dollars on cancer research and cancer medications that are never going to work if we continue to poison ourselves. Dr. Patrick and Dr. Thomas Seyfried differ on some of their thoughts around cancer, but they agree on the biggest thing, and that is something vital. Cancer thrives in a body filled with inflammation. We're not just getting sick, we're creating the conditions for sickness, and the power to stop it is in our own two hands. You treat cancer just as some genetic fluke and we don't know why we caused it, then People continue doing the things that cause cancer. They continue having their body in a state of chronic inflammation. They don't realize the severity of their actions. That is very dangerous in my opinion, and that is why I overall disagree with the approach of some sort of medical intervention for cancer. If you were driving a car towards a cliff, the solution wouldn't be, let's real quick engineer some huge airbags so that when we hit the bottom of the cliff, we survive the fall. No, the solution would be to steer your vehicle in another direction. So much of what's going on in the cancer world is trying to engineer at a huge cost larger and larger airbags so we can continue driving our vehicles off the cliff, when in reality, we should just steer clear of the cliff in the first place. If you enjoyed this video, you're going to really want to watch this video I did in the corner of the screen. This was with Professor Thomas Seyfried. It was a cancer roundtable video that we did. Please be sure to subscribe and click the thumbs up button and leave a comment down below. Do you believe cancer is a genetic fluke or a metabolic disease that we have control over? I will randomly pick one of those comments and send you out a Healing Humanity t-shirt. Thanks so much for watching.